I'm sure you've heard the phrase, hell is other people, but what if that's not what Sartre actually meant? It gets tossed around in casual conversations, appears in memes about avoiding social gatherings, and serves as a philosophical justification for introverts everywhere. But what if I told you that most people completely misunderstand what Jean-Paul Sartre, so the author of this phrase, was actually saying? That this famous line isn't simply about hating crowds or preferring solitude. Today we are diving deep into one of philosophy's most misquoted phrases. We'll explore the original context of hell is other people, unpack the existentialist ideas behind it, and reveal what Sartre truly intended when he wrote those words in his groundbreaking play No Exit. By the end, you will have a completely different and deeper understanding of this seemingly simple phrase, and perhaps a new perspective on your relationships with others. So, let's get started. Jean-Paul Sartre wasn't just any philosopher. He was perhaps one of the most influential intellectual figures of post-war France. Born in 1905, Sartre became the face of existentialism, a philosophy that would profoundly shape 20th century thought. Despite his towering status in 1964, Sartre made headlines for rejecting the Nobel Prize in Literature, claiming that a writer should not allow himself to be turned into an institution. With his trademark pipe, thick glasses and penetrating gaze, Sartre was as recognizable as he was controversial. Throughout his life, he produced an extraordinary body of work, spanning philosophy, novels, plays, and political writings. Works like Being and Nothingness, Nausea, and The Age of Reason established him as a philosophical heavyweight who wasn't content with abstract theories. He wanted philosophy to address the concrete realities of human existence. But it was his playwriting that gave us the phrase we are exploring today. No Exit, or Huis clos in the original French. I don't know French. Premiered at the Théâtre de Ville Colombière, Jesus, in May 1944, during the Nazi occupation of Paris. The play itself is deceptively simple with its setup. There are three deceased characters. Yeah, we are talking about afterlife. Garcine, Ine, and Estelle. They find themselves locked in a room together for the eternity, as it's their punishment in hell. So the room is actually pretty nice with rich decor. What makes No Exit so brilliant is that there are no torture devices. No fire and brimstone, no demonic figures inflicting pain. Instead, the characters serve as each other's torturers, constantly judging, desiring, and reflecting uncomfortable truths back to one another. They can't escape each other's gaze or judgment. As the play unfolds, we watch them attempt to form alliances, seduce each other, and ultimately fail to find any peace in their internal arrangement. Because it's hell, not heaven. It's toward the end of this psychological pressure cooker that Garcin delivers the famous line, hell is other people. I'm not going to read that in French. But this isn't just a declaration of misanthropy or social anxiety. In the context of the play, it's a profound realization about the nature of human consciousness and our identity. What Sartre is actually getting at is the unavoidable reality that our sense of self is partially constructed through how others perceive us. In No Exit, characters can't escape being seen by others, can't escape having their self-conception challenged by others. They are trapped not just in a room together, but in the inevitable condition of human consciousness, being both a subject who experiences the world and an object that is being experienced by others. And this is not simply finding other people annoying or draining, so like the common understanding of this phrase. It's about the fundamental struggle to trying to maintain an authentic sense of self, while simultaneously existing as some object in the consciousness of others. It's about the tension of how we see ourselves and how we are seen. So this hell that is represented in the play is actually our reality. So let's talk about existentialism in general to understand that better. Existentialism emerged in the 20th century mainly from two reasons. One, the inadequacy of materialistic explanations of who we are, and two, the loss of credibility of spiritual explanations of who humans are. Existentialism promotes a third way of understanding human existence, based on the idea that we are free to choose our own path and that we are responsible for our own actions. So basically that we have free will. So in this view, a human is not just a member of a species or a soul in its very nature, but an existence. That's the third way. A being that is free to choose its own path. But of course it comes at a cost. While existentialism reached its peak popularity in the 20th century, its roots trace back to 19th century actually, to thinkers like Friedrich Nietzsche and Søren Kierkegaard. Nietzsche's famous declaration that maybe we should talk about in another video also, God is dead, and his emphasis on creating meaning on our own in the meaningless universe certainly laid a crucial groundwork here. On the other hand, Kierkegaard's focus on the individual's responsibility to make meaningful choices in the face of an indifferent universe was equally influential. By the time Sartre, Albert Camus, Simone de Beauvoir and Martin Heidegger were developing their ideas in cafes across Europe, existentialism had become a response to the horrors of two world wars, which had shattered confidence in traditional values and institutions. If the supposed pinnacle of Western civilization could descend into such barbarism, what could humans rely on? Existentialism answered, nothing but yourself and your choices. There's no predetermined essence, no cosmic plan, no inherent meaning to human life. Instead, as Sartre famously put it, existence precedes essence. We exist first, and then through our choices and actions, we create who we are. So your true self can't be really discovered. It has to be created. As an existentialist, Sartre believed that true self-definition arises only from our individual existence, a rather highly subjective concept. According to him, living authentically means embracing your unique path, a definition that varies from person to person. A belief that there is an authentic life is common for existentialists. It's a general approach of embracing one's existence, choices, and individuality over materialistic or spiritual ways of perceiving the world. According to existentialists, and therefore according also to Sartre, you should focus on developing your authentic way of life. But of course there is an obvious problem here that I think you already see. What does it mean to be authentic? And what makes one way of life authentic if the universe is meaningless? How can we recognize that one way is authentic and the other is not? And there is no clear answer to that problem. Yet existentialists were aware of it. And that's also something that preoccupies my mind. Okay, so we have the foundation of existentialism now. Let's proceed to the relation with others. One of the Sartre's most profound contributions to existential philosophy is his concept of the look or the gaze of others. When another person looks at you, something profound happens. You become an object in their perception. In that moment, you are not longer just a free consciousness experiencing the world. You are also a thing being experienced by someone else or something else, because you also will perceive this person as an object of your perception. Imagine that you are dancing alone in your living room, completely unself-conscious, fully immersed in the music and movement. Then suddenly you realize someone is watching you through the window. Everything changes in an instant. Your movements become awkward, you become hyper-aware of how you look, how you are being perceived. You are no longer just experiencing, you are being experienced too. I mean, to some people it won't apply because some people are natural dancers, but I think this will apply to majority of you. This is what Sartre calls the objectification through the gaze of others. The other person's consciousness transforms you from a subject, so a being who experiences, into an object that is being experienced. Your freedom, in a sense, is compromised. You can no longer be purely what you feel yourself to be, because now you exist as something else in someone else's mind. In No Exit, this dynamic is taken into extreme. The three characters can never escape being seen by others. There's no respite, no moment of privacy where they can reconnect with their subjective experience without the weight of being objectified by others' perceptions. But here's the crucial point that is often missed. People aren't held because they exist, or because social interaction is inherently torturous. They are held because they are mirrors, reflecting your inauthenticity back to you. They confront you with aspects of yourselves that you would rather not reflect on. They make it impossible to maintain comfortable self-deceptions we all use to get through life. Each character in the play is forced to confront truths about themselves they've been avoiding. And not because the others are especially cruel to them, but because the simple fact of being perceived makes self-deception impossible to hold. Another central concept to understanding hell as other people is Sartre's bad faith. Bad faith is essentially lying to yourself. It's a kind of self-deception where you deny either your freedom or your fasticity. So the concrete facts about your situation. Sartre illustrates this with the famous example of a waiter who performs his role too perfectly, moving with a mechanical precision that he feels he is not simply being a waiter, but playing at being a waiter. He's denying his freedom by pretending he is nothing more than his social role. Similarly, a person that claims, "I can't help it, that's just who I am." Such person is in bad faith, denying their freedom to change and choose differently. On the flip side, someone who acts if they have no limitations whatsoever is also in a bad faith, denying the factual constraints of their situation. In No Exit, all three characters are trapped in the situation of bad faith. What makes their situation hellish isn't just being stuck with other people. It's being stuck with people who refuses to validate their self-deceptions. Each character wants the others to see them as they wish to be seen, not as they actually are. When this validation isn't forthcoming, they are forced to confront the bad faith they were living in. And this is the profound insight in the phrase "hell is other people." The torment doesn't come from simple irritation or dislike of others. It comes from the way others make it impossible to maintain the comfortable lies we tell ourselves. They force us to face our freedom and responsibility, which is precisely what living in a bad faith is designed to avoid. The characters in No Exit are trapped not primarily by others, but their refusal to face their own responsibility for who they become. The presence of others simply makes this refusal untenable, forcing a confrontation with a truth they have been trying to avoid. So the hell is the inability to escape others' perceptions, because the confrontation with our bad faith results from that. Okay, so what's the way out then? And for Sartre, the answer is authenticity. Of course, as we already discussed it doesn't mean finding your true self that exists somewhere concretely, like independently of your choices. Remember that for existentialists, existence precedes essence. There is no predetermined self to discover, because authenticity means fully accepting your freedom and responsibility of your actions. It means acknowledging that you are what you do, that your choices define you, and that you are responsible fully for those choices. An authentic person wouldn't be tormented by others' perceptions in the way the characters of No Exit are, because they wouldn't be trying to maintain the illusions about themselves, because they should accept their vices, simply take the responsibility for them, and acknowledge that those actions are now the part of who they are. So to accept the reflection that they see in others. So the acceptance of reality that they actually already confronted. This reveals a profound irony of the common misinterpretation of hell is other people, because many take it as a justification for avoiding others, for retreating into isolation, which is not healthy. And if you are interested in the topic of isolation, check out this video of mine. Just a quick promotion. But isolation doesn't solve the fundamental problem of bad faith. It just removes the mirrors that reflect it back to you. The real escape from Sartre's hell isn't isolation. It's choosing authenticity. It's facing the truth about yourself and acknowledging your freedom, even when the truth is uncomfortable. It's accepting the truth that you can't control how others see you, but you always can be honest with yourself of who you are and with the choices you have already made, and they will always be with you for your whole life. whether you want it or not. Hell isn't other people themselves. It's being unable to face the truth about your own freedom and responsibility, which is made unavoidable by others. The gaze of others becomes hellish, only to the extent that we are living in the bad faith. So the next time you hear someone quote hell is other people for a justification of not going to your party, you will know that there is much deeper justification for those words. And you can confidently tell that person that they are talking bullshit. Sartre wasn't giving us a permission to dislike humanity or reinforcing some introvert manifesto. He was making a profound observation of human consciousness, freedom, and self-deception. Perhaps the real lesson of no accent isn't to avoid others, but to work toward a state where being seen by others doesn't constitute a hell, where we have confronted our freedom and responsibility so thoroughly that we have no longer hide from ourselves or others. And sure, Sartre's theory isn't like empirically grounded, and we can have and we should have many counter-arguments towards his theory. Yet it seems to reveal to us something important about human existence, mainly about the illusions that we all live in. And it's also a lesson about acceptance. Acceptance of yourself, your own mistake, and that life just flows uncontrollably. Okay, that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy it, don't forget to give me a like and a subscription if you want to see a content like this in the future. Don't be shy to leave a comment, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.